Alright guys, welcome back to part 3 of making Procedural Dungeon Generator. In the previous part we have created a look for our rooms, so we have created basically an empty static mesh components inside our blueprint actors. And also we have created some kind of starter spawn room logic. Okay, in this part we're going to create basically advanced spawn room logic. Okay, so we are going to have basically a variable where we are going to basically type how many rooms do we want to be spawned, and if for example we type 20, we're going to spawn 20 additional rooms. Okay, also we are going to check for overlap. If our latest spawned room that is spawned is overlapping with some other room that is spawned earlier, that latest spawned room is going to basically get destroyed and spawned somewhere else. Yeah, for now I'm just going to say that, and you're going to see later what I mean by that, so let's get started. Okay, so the first step that we are going to do is basically go to our dungeon generator header, and here we are going to declare a new variable. So that variable will be basically an integer, and that will be just a room amount. I assume that you know what I mean by that, but if you don't, I will explain it. So basically in that room amount we are going to make it to be able to be editable inside our Unreal editor. So whenever we click on our dungeon generator blueprint, on the right side in the details panel we are going to see room amount variable, and it is just basically going to be editable. And for example, if we type 20 for our room amount, 20 additional rooms are going to be spawned along with one that is a starter room. So yeah, we are going to basically do that. Let's do that right now. So here we're just going to type a property in order to give it some specifiers. The first specifier is edit anywhere, and the second one is basically category. We are going to basically set it to be inside rooms info, or actually maybe something like dungeon info. Okay, so I think that's pretty alright. It is going to be integer 32, and I'm going to name it room amount. Okay, so let's go to our .cpp file, and the next step that we need to do is here in the spawn next room we need to basically check if that room amount is greater than 0. And if it is, we are just going to again call this spawn next room inside our spawn next room. So and above that we are just going to set that room amount to be equals room amount -1. Okay, so let me explain you. Okay, so whenever we, for example, set 20 inside our Unreal editor for our room amount, and whenever basically our spawn next room is called, this room amount is going to be decreased by 1. Okay, and whenever it is called and whenever it is basically decreased by 1, we are checking if that room amount is greater than 0. And if it is, we are still going to call this spawn next room. So yeah, basically that's a loop that I'm talking about, and it is just going to decrease, and it is going to be like 20, 19, 18, and all the way to the 1. And when we get to the point that our room amount is 0, it is going to stop this if check, and there are not going to be any more spawned rooms. So yeah, like I said, we are going to spawn 20 additional rooms along with our starter room. Okay, so I hope you get the point. If you don't, you're going to see in a moment what I mean by that. So let me just compile my code and see if there's any errors. Okay, so there isn't, and I'm going to launch my Unreal Engine, so by clicking Ctrl F5. Okay, so here we are inside our Unreal Engine, and now if I basically click on my dungeon generator, on the right side you will see this room amount variable. So basically, like I said, this room amount is a number of additional rooms that are going to be spawned along with our starter room. So for example, if I here type 20 and if I begin my simulation, you will see on the right side that 20 additional rooms are basically getting spawned. Okay, it is not spawning the way that we want, but we are going to fix that, don't worry about that. But still, on the right side, you see that 20 additional rooms are getting spawned, so basically in some way we have succeeded with that, and now let's basically fix this behavior that we have now. So let's close our Unreal Engine. We need here to save selected. Okay, and now we need to go to our dungeon generator .cpp, and let me see in my other project what is the first thing that we need to do. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do, and first I need to explain some things. Okay, so whenever we are calling this spawn next room from the exits array, we are getting a random exit point, and from that random exit point we are storing that inside our selected exit point, and from that selected exit point we are getting location and rotation and spawning basically in that location. So the logic behind fixing that behavior that we had is that whenever we spawn next room, we need to basically remove this selected exit point from our exits array. Why? You may be asking why? Because we do not want to spawn another room at that already used exit point. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do, and we are going to do that below this, setting actor location and rotation. We need to get this exits array, we need to paste it, and we need to get a function that is called .remove, and we are just going to every time whenever we spawn the next room, we are going to remove that selected exit point that we have already used to spawn some other room. The next thing that we are going to do is basically whenever we are calling this function right here, we are going for each basically a room that is basically latest spawn for each latest spawned room, we are going to create another array that is similar like this exits array, and we are going to basically store those exit points inside that new array, and we are going to append that new array to our exits array. So basically we are going to connect to each other. So yeah, you get the point. So basically if you don't, I will explain again what we have did. So just follow my steps. We are just going to copy this declaration of our exits array, and we are going to paste it. We are just going to name it latest room exit points. Okay, and from this latest spawned room, we need to get basically exits. So for each latest spawned room, we need to get exit points folder, and we need to basically attach those children components that are inside that exit points folder inside this array right here. So latest room exit points. So I'm just going to copy here this get children components and this information's right here. So except these exits, we are going to paste the latest room exit points, and for this false we're just going to keep false. We do not want to get the grandchildren's. Anyway, we don't have grandchildren's, and like I said, now we are going to connect exits array with this latest room exit points. So we are connecting them, or basically we are appending latest room exit points values with these exits. And now let's test it out, and after that I'm going to explain what we have did here again. So let's basically compile our code, and let's wait a little bit. Let's see if there's any errors, and there isn't. Now let's launch our Unreal Engine. Okay, and here we are inside our Unreal Engine. Now if we just click on my begin simulation, yeah, actually you will see that now we are actually getting some kind of dungeon. We are basically calling, or basically not calling, but just spawning our starter room, and after that we are getting the random exit point from that starter room. We are spawning the next room, and from that next room we are getting a random exit point from that next spawned room, and we're just looping like that for 20 additional rooms. Okay, so now if you see, it's working, and we're basically getting these overlapped rooms, so don't worry about that. We're going to fix that in a moment, but let me just first explain what we did here. Okay, so whenever we are spawning the starter room, we are spawning it at specified location. We are basically getting the actor location of dragged blueprint inside our level, and we are basically spawning a starter room. We are getting from that spawn starter room, we are getting the random, we are actually getting all the exit points from that starter room, and we are storing that inside our exits array. Okay, now when we are spawning the next room, we are basically getting a random exit point from this exits folder. So that doesn't mean that it is going to get the exit point from starter room if we have if we don't just have a starter room, if we basically have like 5 rooms, and it is just keeping the loop. We are still loading our rooms, and we are still basically spawning them. It is just going to get the available exit point that we have stored in this exits array. Okay, we are specifying it, or basically we are spawning that at a location of that selected exit point. The next thing that we are doing is we are removing that selected exit point. So the reason why we are removing that is because already some other room is spawned at that selected exit point, and we are just removing it. We are saying, okay, so exit array, remove that exit point. That exit point is not anymore available to spawn room at that exit point and that location. Okay, so remove that. That is not available anymore. The next thing that we are doing, we are creating an array. So we are creating an array where we are going to store. Where we are storing the latest spawned room exit points, and we are storing basically in this array right here. So we are doing by this line of code. So latest spawned room, we are getting the folder of that latest spawned room, and whenever we are looping throughout this function, so basically this code right here, we are getting the latest spawned room. Okay, so in the first loop we are getting basically the second spawned room in our level, and again we are getting third, and every time we are getting the exit points from that specified latest spawned room, and we are storing that inside our latest room exits point. And the next thing that we are doing, we are basically connecting the latest room exit points array with our exits array. And the reason for that is basically whenever we are calling this spawn next room, or basically whenever we are looping and calling that spawn next room from our exits folder, we are getting the random exit point, and from that exit point we are basically spawning the next room, and it is going to loop, new exit points are going to be added, but before that new rooms are going to be added, and in that way we are getting the behavior that we want. Now the next problem that we have is some rooms are basically overlapping with each other, and we are going to fix that right now. Okay, so in order to do that, we are just going to basically create a separate function, and then we are going to call that function. So let's do that right now. Let's go to our .header file, and we are going to declare that function here below these two declarations. It will be a void function. Basically it is not going to return anything, and we are going to name it something like remove overlapping rooms. Okay, so now let's create a definition for that function. The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to declare a new array. So it will be also a type of using component array, and we are just going to name it overlapped rooms. We are going to, from this latest spawned room, we are going to get basically the overlap folder actually, that we have created inside the room base. So let me just go to my room base.header, and that is this overlap folder right here. We have attached, I think, yeah, we have attached let me see, our box collision component to our overlap folder. Let me just go back to my dungeon generator.cpp, and inside that overlapped array, overlapped rooms array, we are going to get the children components of our latest room from that overlap folder, and we are going to store it inside our overlapped rooms array. So let's do that. We need to get this latest spawned room, but we are getting this red line right here. So that means that our latest spawned room is undefined. That is because this latest spawned room is a local variable, and we need to fix that. So we need to declare that variable inside our .header file. We are going to do that here below protected. We are just going to do something like this, and the red line will disappear. We need to get overlap folder, and actually we need to go to our room base.header, and we need to move this overlap folder declaration below public. Okay, and now if we go back to our dungeon generator.cpp, now we are going to be able to get the overlap folder, and now we need to get a function that is called get children components. We are just going to here type false, because we don't need all the descendants. Okay, and we are going to store that inside overlapped rooms array. Now the next thing that we need to do, we need to declare a new array, but we're just going to copy this declaration overlapped rooms of overlapped rooms array. Here we just need to type u primitive component. Okay, and I'm just going to name it something like overlapped or overlapping components. Okay, and you're going in a moment to see what we are going to use it for. The next thing that we're going to do, we're just going to loop throughout our overlapped rooms array. So this is this array right here. We're just storing the children components from overlap folder of every latest spawned room that is spawned. Okay, so now we need to do a for each loop for that overlapped rooms. And this element will represent each element of this overlapped rooms array. So the one thing that is important is this basically the type of class of this element needs to be same as this array right here. So you see that they are the same class. Okay, now we need to, the reason why we are actually we are actually doing a for each loop. We need to get all the elements from that overlapped rooms, and now for each element we are going to cast to uBox component class, and we are going to use each element as a reference to that exact box component. The reason why we need to why we need to cast, I'm going to tell you in a moment, is because we need to get a function that is called get over, but we are not getting any suggestions. Before anything, we need to include basically from the components folder, we need to include the box component, and the reason why we are casting to our uBox component class is because we are going to get overlapping components, okay, and those overlapping components we are going to store inside the overlapping components array, okay. So basically we are just getting overlapping components, okay, and storing them inside this array that we have declared here. The next thing that we are going to do is basically now we need to loop throughout this overlapping components array. So we need to do another for each loop. So I'm just again going to type element, and now we need to here loop throughout this overlapping components, and for each overlapped component we are just going to destroy latest spawned room, okay. So from latest spawned room we need a function that is called destroy. Now let's basically compile our code and launch our Unreal Engine. Okay, so here we are inside our Unreal Engine. If I basically begin my simulation, you will see that we are getting this behavior right here. We are just spawning our starter room and no additional rooms are getting spawned, okay? So we need to fix that right now. The first thing that we are going to do is here in the top left corner we need to click on the edit, and then we need to select or basically click on project settings. In the collision we need to create a new object channel, so click on just a new object channel, and we are going to name it something like room overlap, and the default response will be just ignore, okay. So just click on accept, and now we can close this. So in order to fix that bug that we are having, we just need to do some additional changes in our blueprints, okay. So let's open our BP_Dungeon Room 1. We need to click on the box collision, and here on the right side in the details panel we need to search for the details, okay. We need to can character step up on, okay, so we need to select yes. We need for this collision presets we need to set to be custom. For this object type we need to select room overlap, and here for the collision responses we are going to select all of them to be ignored, but except for our room overlap, that will be just overlap, okay. And basically that's the same process for all the other blueprints. So we need to open full blueprint editor, click on our box collision. We are just going to search for collision. We are going to here select yes for our if can character step up on. We are just going to, for the collision preset, select custom. For the object type we need a room overlap. Here we are going to select ignore for all except for our room overlap, that is going to be overlap, okay. So under overlap collision response, so the same process right here. So box collision, okay. Can character step up on, yes. Custom collision preset, object type will be room overlap. So like I said, the same process right here. This BP_Dungeon Room 4, we need to click on open full blueprint editor, click on our box collision component, here on the right side in the details panel we need to search for collision. Okay, so we need here to select yes. Collision preset will be custom, object type will be room overlap. Here we just need for our room overlap to be under overlap collision response, and okay, we need to do that for our BP underscore dungeon room 5. So collision, yes, custom collision preset. Okay, object type is room overlap, ignore overlap. Okay, so let's compile. Let's see if we have compiled our other blueprints, and yeah, we did. So now if I begin my simulation, you will see that anymore our rooms are not getting overlapped. So the one thing that I'm going to do is here, or actually I'm going to here click on my dungeon generator. I'm going to again add a new element to that array, and here I'm going to select our BP underscore dungeon room 5. Okay, so we actually have two elements of our BP underscore dungeon room 5, and you will see that our dungeon, procedural dungeon, is going to look more natural. Okay, so it now has some more this kind of bridges, and we are just basically breaking the monotony of our dungeon. Okay, so let me just test a couple of times. Okay, so you see this is a starter room, and we are actually getting some kind of dungeon. So let me just see. Okay, you will see that here we are spawning. We are basically getting the procedural dungeon. Okay, we have some kind of this dungeon right here. You see that we have those bridges, and in some way our dungeon is looking more natural than it is. Okay, so let me just again test out a couple of times. Okay, so you see that we are getting every time the different type of dungeon. Okay, and this is what I have been waiting for. So we are getting this room right here. So that is something that we need to fix. Okay, so let's search for another example. Okay, so here we are again getting this room right here. So basically the logic behind fixing that bug right here is that. So let me just go first into my code editor. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to create a new variable. So that variable will be a type of boolean, and I'm going to name it something like beacon spawn. Okay, so and that beacon spawn for each element in this overlapping components, we need to initialize it to be false. Okay, so and where we are going to check if this beacon spawn is true or not, we are going to check for this logic right here that I have explained before. So for this logic right here, whenever we are removing selected exit point, we are creating a new lattice room exit points. We are getting the childrens of that lattice room from the exit points folder, and we are storing them inside this lattice room exit points array, and we are connecting or basically appending that lattice room exit points array with this exits array. Okay, and whenever we have some element in our overlapping components that is actually components that this box component is triggering, we are storing those components inside this overlapping components, and actually we are not doing anything with that element. We are just checking for each element that is stored in that overlapping component. So we are destroying the latest spawned room, and we are initializing it for our boolean to be false, because we do not want to, if we have destroyed our latest room, we do not want to get some informations from that latest spawned room, and I hope you get the point. And if I just basically leave like this, after first overlapped room. Whenever we are doing this for each loop, our beacon spawn is going to be false, and we are still not going to get the behavior that we want. So we need to initialize it to be true. We need to restart that variable. So whenever we are spawning the next room spawn next room function, and whenever there aren't any rooms that are overlapping with each other. So here we are just going to initialize it to be true. And now I think that we can build our code and test it out. So let's now launch our Unreal Engine. We don't have any errors, and that's great. Okay, so here we are inside our Unreal Engine, and now if I test a couple of times, let's see if we are going to get the that bug that we had previously. Okay, so there aren't any bugs. Okay, so that's great. That's a great sign for now. And I'm going to test it and test it and test it. I'm going actually to increase a room amount in order to see if there's actually any bugs there. So I'm going to set something like 100. And now let's create a dungeon. Let's see if there's any room, because why I have increased the room amount, because if there's more rooms, there is a bigger chance to spawn some rooms that are not going to be spawned correctly. Okay, and we are still not getting any bad behavior, so that's a great sign. Let's do that a couple of times more. So let's check it out. We are still getting a dungeon that is that has all the rooms spawned correctly. Okay, and again here we are getting the same, and yeah, basically we have fixed that bug, so that's a great sign. Another thing that I want to show you, and let me just decrease the room amount to 20. I want to show you that here we are actually not spawning the 20 rooms. Why? Because we have basically destroyed those latest spawned rooms, and we are not actually spawning any additionals, or actually we are not spawning any rooms instead of that latest that is removed. Okay, so here if you count, we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13. So actually we have 13 rooms, and the way that we can fix that, we can just basically go to our code editor, and whenever we have something inside our overlapping components, we are just going to increase this room amount by 1, because we don't want to decrease this room amount if we have some rooms that are overlapping with each other, and basically if we are delete that spawned latest room. Okay, so now if I go back to my Unreal Engine, and actually I'm going to close my Unreal Engine, I'm going to click on Save Selected, I'm going to compile my code. So okay, let's compile again, and now let's launch our Unreal Engine. So now if I begin my simulation, you will see that we are actually now getting the 20 additional rooms along with our starter room. So in this dungeon we have 21 rooms actually, and that's great. We have fixed those bugs that we had, and so we have did an incredible work for this part, and I'm really proud of you that you have came this far. Okay. In this part there were many complex things, but please guys, if you don't understand something, and I know that I just cannot explain some things in the best way, and because of that you can be a little bit confused, but please, if anything is unclear, join to our Discord server, where you can contact us and reach to us and ask anything that you want, or basically we can help you about anything that is confusing you. So like I said, for this part we did everything that we had. In the next part we are going to basically create a closing wall for these unused exits. Okay, so you see that here we don't have any attached room for this exit, but still we're getting this this empty exit that is not used. Okay. Also, we're going to add the doors for our for each room. Okay. So we're actually going to create a logic for opening and closing those doors. So we are going to create an elevator and basically stairs room for our dungeon. And I think that there will be some additional things, but yeah, we're going to see in the next part. Like I said, if anything is unclear, feel free to reach to us now throughout our Discord server, or basically you can write a comment down below this video. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like this video, and see you in the next part.